This video is going to address the structure of an essay. It's going to talk about the general essay. So of course you should check out each specific prompt to see the expectations for each assignment. So for this class, we're generally going to have a 5-paragraph essay. Now, I said generally, so you might have one that has 6 paragraphs, but all the essays in this class, they are going to have an introduction to start the essay, and it's going to be 1 paragraph. Now, that might change when you move up to different English classes and so forth. But for this class, the assignments will only need 1 paragraph introductions, okay? So, and then your paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4 will be body paragraphs. For the essays for this class, you're going to have at least 3 body paragraphs. You might have a 4th one. That really depends on you and your topic. But I would say that there won't be more than 4 body paragraphs, unless you break them up a certain way to make different structure. But generally speaking, okay. So of course that's not set in stone. Now the last paragraph is the conclusion. Now that is set in stone. For this class, you will only need a 1 paragraph conclusion. It will always be the last paragraph. And again, generally speaking, because we always have different circumstances, but the intro and the conclusion are about the same length. Okay, so sometimes I get an essay that's somebody has like a page-long conclusion for a 3-page paper, but of course that wouldn't be a good use of your time and of your organization. Okay, because the conclusion doesn't need to be longer than the body paragraphs, right? So generally speaking, the intro and the conclusion are about the same length. Now, don't get crazy about it. Don't try not to get it sentence to sentence or anything, but generally speaking. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the introduction. So the whole point of the introduction is to draw the reader in and to clearly get your point across in your thesis. That's the whole point, okay? So there are 3 parts to the introduction. The first part is the hook. So don't get stuck on the 3 to 4 sentences, but the hook is generally 3 to 4 sentences. If you have a longer paper, maybe the hook's a little bit longer, but the hook is never just 1 sentence, and the hook is never a page long either. Okay, so just 3-4 sentences usually is enough to get your point across if they're well written sentences, and it's to draw your reader in, get the attention. Now, obviously, the hook has to be relevant to your topic and to your thesis, but not repetitive. That's important. You're not going to just repeat in different words, which you'll go over later on. So we'll talk about how you can do that in the next couple of slides. Then you want to have a transition or a transitional phrase or sentence. Usually you don't want to do more than a sentence, but somehow you're going to merge your idea from the hook, and you're going to merge it into that thesis statement. Somehow show that relevancy, show how this connects to what you're going to talk about. And then the thesis statement is the most important sentence of the paper, and it should be 1 sentence. It should be the last sentence of that introduction, and it should have your points in it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. I just want to mention, you're never going to talk or speak directly to your reader by saying this paper is going to discuss, or I've already, or as I've said in the past, or of course you're using 3rd-person point of view in most of the essays, but you're never going to tell what you're going to do. Don't discuss the paper. Don't even acknowledge that it's an essay, really. Instead, just say it. Just do what you're going to do, okay? Not to rip off Nike there, but so let's talk a little bit about the hook. Different ways to address the hook. Okay, so again, the hook has to be relevant to your topic, but it should not repeat in your body paragraphs exactly. Okay, so you might talk again or add to the hook in your conclusion, but not in your body paragraphs. Your hook should be, again, just the intro, right? It's the introducing. So, one way to do that is to have some sort of anecdote, tell a story, right? Now, again, that story needs to be in the point of view of the paper, which is most likely third person point of view. Check your prompt. And it has to be relevant to the topic. But you can, provide a brief story, a history, a background that illustrates a point. If your paper allows research, not all of them in this class will allow research. However, if your paper does allow research, that's significant here. You could research some sort of history or background. Here's an example about September 11th, and of course it's just one sentence. You'd elaborate, because again, 3 to 4 sentences is generally a hook, right? You can also correct a misunderstanding or assumption. Although many people believe so and so, this is actually correct. And then again, elaborate 3 to 4 sentences upon that idea. And then again, transition to the thesis. Another way you can do it, and this is for future papers, not only ones that are allowing research, because not all the papers, again, are, but you could put a quote, and you can start off with that quote. That's one way in future papers, and of course you have to have the proper citation as well. So let's practice a little bit. And of course this is not the topic of your first paper, and it won't be the topic of any of the papers in here. This is just sort of, we're starting off easy, right? So let's pretend that the thesis, and again, this is in first person, not in third person, so this again is just an example, and it's an easy example. But although I love to swim competitively, I hate swimming in the ocean because of the rip currents, the crowds, and the sea life. So say that was your thesis. That's what your whole essay is going to be about. So your body paragraphs are going to focus on the rip currents. The second body paragraph is going to talk about the crowds. The third body paragraph is going to talk about the sea life. So, you don't really want to delve too much into the details there, because you don't want to be repetitive, right? So maybe for the hook, you want to talk about something about Michael Phelps and talk about swimming competitively. All right, another example. And again, this is an easy thesis statement that, yours will be a little bit more academically based. Excuse me. Pizza is the best breakfast food in the world because it is nutritionally balanced, filling, and tastes great. So for a hook here, just off the top of my head, you could discuss certain types of pizza. For instance, discuss Chicago versus New York style pizza. You can talk about a specific brand, Domino's pizza. You can take that kind of approach and then merge into moving it to breakfast food. Maybe you can discuss something like bagel bites, which is supposed to merge breakfast and pizza. Who doesn't love bagel bites, right? So you could discuss that for 3 to 4 sentences and then transition into pizza is the best breakfast food in the world, blah 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 blah. Okay, so the dreaded thesis statement. This is the most important sentence of your entire essay. So for all of your essays and your final exam, keep that in mind, okay? So try to think as you're writing, or at the end of when you're done writing, think about, I should be able to zip down to the last sentence of your first paragraph and just read that sentence and know what your entire essay is going to be about. Okay, so it should be sort of like the backbone of your paper, okay? So if you read that sentence and you don't feel like I can understand your entire paper or your entire paper's main point, then you might want to revisit your thesis statement, okay? And maybe get some help with the Real Center or virtual Real Center. So here, again, generally speaking, because there are some essays that might need a little more information, such as maybe authors' names and titles and things like that. But generally speaking, what you need is your topic, usually narrowed down. Okay, you don't want to have like a really broad topic, especially because papers in this class, nothing really exceeds 5 pages, which, that might seem like a lot, but for certain topics, for example, France wouldn't be your topic, right? Because that's huge. So you'd have to narrow it down to at least French cuisine, but that's still huge. You'd want to narrow it even further down, maybe to a regional dish in France. And then you're going to have those points, like what's your point, what's your, whatever your prompt is asking for. Is it a compare and contrast essay? Is it a cause and effect essay? Is it a research essay? You want to address your prompt, and you want to have your points that you're going to make in your body paragraph. So again, if you have 3 body paragraphs or 4 body paragraphs, then you'll have 3 points or 4 points. And again, just to reiterate, because it's so important, it's located in the last sentence of your introduction as one sentence. So, sometimes it's a lengthy one. Spend some time on your thesis. This is not one that you should just slap on last minute. So the plan of development, I already kind of discussed this a little bit, but you're going to briefly mention those 3 points you will be making to support your thesis. So here I just kind of broke down that pizza example for you. I showed you what the actual thesis is and what the plan of development. I'll let you read it on your own. If you want to, you can just pause the video right here. The nutritionally balanced would be the first body paragraph. The filling would be the second body paragraph, and then the taste great would be the third body paragraph. So here was just 3. If you had 4 body paragraphs, you'd have another point listed here, okay? And they should stay in order. So, nutritionally balanced should be the first. That's important throughout the entire essay. So even when you restate that thesis statement later on, you want to keep that order. And here, this is a very short example. Yours will be much longer. Of course, your hook will be, 3 to 4 sentences as mentioned before. But just to give you an idea of how you can kind of merge a hook into a thesis statement with a plan of development associated with it, I just kind of gave you a quick little example here. Again, yours will be much more lengthy and about a different topic, but I hope this example at least helps you. If you would like to pause it here and check this out, I'll let you read it on your own. Each body paragraph develops one of the points you will make in your plan of development. So, when you're starting and brainstorming your topics, it is important for you to think about this. You want to make sure that your points are not too similar where your body paragraphs are going to sound similar or repetitive. So that happens sometimes where you just don't want to use a synonym for a point. So make sure that you have enough meat, for you to talk enough about that topic. Because if you can't fill an entire paragraph about it and give details and examples and analysis, then you're gonna email me and say I can't reach the page limit, and I'm probably gonna address this, that you probably need to go back and develop your points more so you have more to talk about. So do it early so you don't have to go back, but yeah, so again, think about that. Think about what details and what examples you can associate with those points when you come up with them. So here again, I have the plan of development for a thesis statement, and it just tells you your paragraph number 2 would be about toughest training, paragraph number 3 terrifying drill instructors, and then paragraph 4 will be about loss of freedom. And then again, you can always add more body paragraphs, but you'll have to include them in your thesis. And generally speaking, like more than 4 points is usually overkill, because again, our papers aren't going to be that long. So you don't want to have too many points and then you're really not proving those points and giving enough details. So the body paragraph, there is a organization that we're going to use that I'm going to talk more about, called MEAL, M-E-A-L. And it's going to discuss how you should set up that body paragraph. So M is going to be about the main point, which is the topic sentence. So each paragraph is going to start with a topic sentence that, has that first point or second point or third point in that topic sentence. So it's going to be nice and clear, like, it's going to tell the reader what you're writing about, right? And then it's going to transition and give examples, evidence in some cases, and details, and then analysis. You're not going to just list points and list evidence. You're going to have to discuss it somehow. So again, that meal format, we're going to have a lesson on that if we haven't already in the class. So be looking for that. Okay, here's just a quick body paragraph, and I noticed that some of it's kind of cut off on the bottom, but this PowerPoint is also on Blackboard too. But if this is the red part here is the topic sentence. So again, you have most people in the military know the Marine Corps boot camp at Paris Island is the most difficult basic training the Department of Defense has to offer. So it has the point that it's going to address, right? And then further in, you have details, you have analysis, you have some of the details here, the score of the 100% of this exhausting test, and pull-ups and so forth. And then that's the more specific points. So in future essays in this class, you're going to have quotations here. So usually, again, check your prompt, but usually the first essay doesn't require research and then therefore in-text citations. But in essay 2, 3, and the final exam, you will be placing quotes here, which some people like because, it helps your paper add length and add meat. And then the conclusion, is pretty similar to maybe what you wrote in high school, or what you're going to write throughout this class. But it's wrapping up what you said. But please don't just repeat. That's the one thing I do see happen with the conclusion is some people will just kind of, say what they've already said. And we've already heard that, right? The reader has already heard that. So you want to either say it in a new way or add something, add something to that bottom. So you do have to restate the thesis, okay? So that's sort of repetitive, but again, don't repeat it, restate it, say it in different words, right? But that's just one sentence. You can return to your hook and add something from that story. So say you were discussing Michael Phelps and his very successful competitive swimming career for the United States. You can now talk about, what he's doing now, or, or how do you see him in his future career? Or has he changed kind of, careers in some way, or his support of mental health, or add something that's still relevant to that. You can close with some sort of prediction of the future, or recommending a solution in some cases if that's relevant to your essay. So again, just don't repeat, add something a little new that's relevant, and again, keep that conclusion about the same length as your introduction. And we've said this a few times, but here's a reiteration of, restate, don't repeat. And other ideas for the closing statement, wrapping up, final commentary on your topic, open up a topic for another essay. So sometimes if people are stuck, I like to say, pretend you are making a sequel to this essay, which don't worry, you're not going to have to. But say you wanted to open up a sequel so you have something to write about next time. What would you feel like was necessary to keep writing about? And don't start the conclusion with in conclusion. That's something that I think high school teachers teach you just to kind of get you started, sort of like training wheels. But we want to be more formal than that. And don't refer to your essay or something you said before. If you return to your hooks idea, don't say, as stated before, as, already put into my hook, or, again, don't discuss the paper directly. And here's an example of a conclusion. And again, this is a sort of short one. And I do want to mention that this one has a quote here. Remember, most of the time when you're quoting, you're going to have an in-text citation. This one does not, because it's a common saying, and we're assuming it doesn't have a page number in some way. But again, your first paper probably will not be using researcher quotes, so check that for your prompt. But again, just a really easy example. Yours will be longer and about a different topic. But if you have any questions about the setup, about this part, please email me. And I hope you can get started soon. Have a good day.